What if I told you one of the biggest rock bands in America was destroyed by a robot? They were coming off the biggest album of their career, selling millions, and the lead singer decided their next move was a Broadway-style play. The band's guitarist hated it so much, he had a backstage meltdown and quit. Here's how Styx's best of the times turned into the absolute worst.
Like, subscribe, thank you.
So it's 1981, and Styx is just massive. They went from being a simple rock band and became this arena-filling machine. Their album from that year, Paradise Theater, just blows up. It goes straight to #1 on the Billboard 200. Sells millions, like over 3 million copies. And it gives them these huge songs, like the #1 ballad, The Best of Times, and the really cool rocker, Too Much Time on My Hands. They're just everywhere. You couldn't turn on AOR radio without hearing them. This band was a mix of guys, but somehow it worked. You had Dennis DeYoung. He's the keyboardist and one of the main singers, the one with that big, clear, Broadway kind of voice. And the thing about DeYoung is that he loved big ideas. He loved grand theatrical concepts and these huge emotional ballads that just took over the radio. Then you had Tommy Shaw. Tommy Shaw was a guitar player, all pure fire and energy, the rock and roll guy. He's the one writing songs like Blue Collar Man and Renegade. He liked his music simple, loud, and straight ahead. And with him was James J.Y. Young, the other guitarist, who was right there with Shaw on the hard rock stuff. So you had this split, DeYoung's theater and Shaw's rock. This was the thing that made Styx so interesting. It was also pretty much a time bomb. So after this huge success with Paradise Theater, Dennis DeYoung decides he needs to go bigger. He doesn't just want another record. He wants a full-blown statement, a whole story, a movie, the works. And he gets this idea. He sees two things. First, he sees a news story about a Japanese factory that's using robots for simple, boring tasks, and this sparks something. And then he sees an ad campaign, reads something about the old World War II graffiti, Kilroy was here. And in his head, he mashes these two things together. Boom. He comes up with the story for Kilroy was here. And the plot was, well, it was a lot. It was set in the future where rock and roll is totally illegal, outlawed by this moral crusader, a guy named Dr. Righteous who runs majority for the musical morality. The hero of the story is a rock star named Robert Orrin Charles Kilroy. Get it? I'll let you figure out that part and leave it in the comments. So Kilroy gets framed by this Dr. Righteous and he's thrown in prison. And this prison is run by, you guessed it, robots called Robotos. And to escape, Kilroy steals a Roboto costume, gets inside, and just walks right out the front door, then meets this young rocker, kid named Jonathan Chance, who's on a mission to bring rock music back. So when DeYoung pitches this whole grand idea to the rest of the band, the rock and roll side, Tommy Shaw and J.Y. Young, they're not happy. After all, they are a rock band. They play guitars. They wear jeans and t-shirts on stage. They did not sign up to be actors in some weird robot play. They thought the idea was silly, pretentious. J.Y. Young said later that he thought the movie part of it was totally unwatchable. Tommy Shaw was even more pissed. He said it was antithetical to rock and roll, period. Just felt it was a massive mistake. But here's the thing. DeYoung was the band's main songwriter. He was the voice in their biggest ballad. He had just handed them a #1 album with Paradise Theater. So he really had all the power, and he pushed that project through. The record label, A&M, they just smell another Paradise Theater. They hear a concept album and movie, and they just see dollar signs. So they give the band a whole bunch of money, just throw a ton of money at it. Deal is made. Styx will record the album, and they will also film this 12-minute short film that will open every single concert on the new tour. So they start recording the album in 1982, and the tension is already thick. Shaw and Young feel like they're not even in the band anymore. Feel like session players on a Dennis DeYoung solo project. And the first single they pick, Mr. Roboto. The song opens with these Japanese-sounding synths. Then DeYoung's voice comes in, but through a vocoder, all robotic. Domo arigato, Mr. Roboto. It was a pure, straight-up pop song. Had electronic drums. The guitars were just buried in the mix. This was not Renegade. Definitely not Blue Collar Band. The label tries to calm the rock fans down. They put a J.Y. Young rocker, Cold War, on the B-side just to try to balance things out. The other big single off the album was Don't Let It End, which was a classic DeYoung ballad. Tommy Shaw, he managed to get one of his own songs on the record, Haven't We Been Here Before? But it didn't matter. The whole album was completely dominated by DeYoung's story and his synth pop sound. So Mr. Roboto comes out in the early of '83, and it's a massive, undeniable hit. Shoots right up the charts, hits #3. The video, which is basically a trailer for this Kilroy movie, is on MTV every single hour. You could not escape it. In the video, you see the whole story. You see Kilroy, played by DeYoung, in his jumpsuit prison. See Jonathan Chance, played by Tommy Shaw, who looks visibly uncomfortable. Maybe that's just acting. And you see Kilroy put on that famous robot mask, punch his way out of the prison, and then drive off in his tiny, weird little car. The album itself, Kilroy Was Here, it goes platinum. So on paper, Styx has done it again. They've got another huge hit. But a big, big problem is brewing. The band's old fans, the when it came for the rock shows, are just confused. What is this, a robot? Synth? What happened to the band that played Blue Collar Man? Renegade. The new album was selling, sure, but the band was losing its core audience. They're gaining all these new pop fans who wanted to hear Roboto, but they were shedding the old school rockers. And then came the tour, and this is where the real disaster happened. Every single show started the same way. The lights go down, arena is full, people are cheering, expecting the band to come out and blast Rockin' the Paradise, but instead this giant screen lights up, and the audience is forced to watch the 12-minute Kilroy film. And of course they're confused. People are yelling, just bring the band. After the movie finally finishes, the show would start. But it's not a rock show. It was a play. Stage was a massive, expansive, custom-built set of a prison. Band members were in costume. They're acting. Dennis DeYoung was in his Kilroy jumpsuit. Tommy Shaw, the poor dude, was in a leather vest as Jonathan Chance. And J.Y. Young was Dr. Righteous, the bad guy. So they were not just playing songs. They were reciting dialogue to each other on stage. Between songs, DeYoung would act out scenes as Kilroy. The other band members, including Shaw, had to hit their specific marks on stage so that the spotlights would hit them. They're wearing these new clunky wireless headset mics so that they could talk and sing. They had to say their lines. Tommy Shaw was in his own personal hell every single night. He's a guitar player, he's a rocker, wants to plug in, turn up, and play. Instead, he's forced to act in this play that he just cannot stand in front of thousands of people. He later said he felt like a frock-wearing, rock opera performing dork. Felt that all the credibility, all those years of touring bars and building a real rock audience was just being flushed down the toilet. Night after night, just felt foolish. And the audience was just as lost. Here they are, they paid for a rock concert, and they're getting this weird Broadway show thing. They'd shout for Renegade or Come Sail Away, and instead they'd get a scene with dialogue between DeYoung and Shaw. The reviews were just terrible. The press, which already kind of thought Styx was a bit full of itself, had a field day. They called the show pretentious, a new low, overblown, and a total joke. And to make it all worse, the show was a financial black hole. These elaborate sets, costumes, the film, the extra crew, it all cost a fortune. Because the production was so big, they needed a huge local stage crew at every stop just to build the set. And this meant that they could only play in certain big arenas that could handle it, and the costs were eating them alive. So they're actually playing fewer dates, and the tour was losing money. So here they are, a band with a top 5 hit, platinum album, and a failing money pit tour that is making them a laughingstock in the rock world. The pressure was just unbelievable. The band was at each other's throats. The rock guys, Shaw and Young, were mad at DeYoung. DeYoung was mad at them for not supporting his grand vision. The breaking point finally came. Tommy Shaw had reached his limit. He could not stand up on that frickin' stage and say Jonathan Chance lines one more damn time. He was done. So one night he snapped, chucked his guitar on the stage, and walked out. He was finished. Told the band he was leaving. Could not be a part of this friggin' mess anymore. This was not the rock band he signed up for. The band managed to limp to the end of the scheduled dates, but it was over. Future legs of the tour were canceled, and the band was in ruins. They all held a meeting in 1984. Not a friendly get-together. The arguments were loud and bitter. Shaw and Young were completely unified against DeYoung. They blamed him for everything. Felt like he had hijacked the band, turned it into his own personal theater project, and just killed their career. DeYoung was stunned. In his mind, he had just given them another platinum hit. What the hell was the problem? The band officially broke up. After years of being one of the biggest bands around, Styx was over, taken out by a robot. Right away, the battle lines were drawn. Tommy Shaw put out his first solo album, Girls with Guns. It was a straight-up, no-nonsense rock and roll record. No synths, robots, definitely no acting. Dennis DeYoung put out his solo album, Desert Moon. It was a pop album, full of synths, keyboards, big ballads. The two sides could not have been any more different. But for years, Styx was dead. But in 1990, the band decides to try a reunion. But there's a problem. Tommy Shaw is busy. He's over playing with the damn Yankees, with Ted Nugent. I covered that band too, check it out. And they were covering hits, so Styx reunites without him. They hire a new guitarist, Glenn Burtnick. They record a new album, Edge of the Century. They even have a massive number 3 hit with the DeYoung pen ballad, Show Me the Way. but it just wasn't the same. And then in 1996, the impossible happened. The classic lineup, DeYoung, Shaw, J.Y., and the Panazzo brothers all agree to get back together for a reunion tour. It's called the Return to Paradise Tour, and it's a massive success. Fans just wanted the old Styx. The band played all their biggest hits: Come Sail Away, Renegade, Blue Collar Man, Too Much Time on My Hands. The shows were sold out everywhere. They were finally a real rock band again. There was one song, however, that was noticeably completely missing from the set list. They did not play Mr. Roboto. Shaw and Young refused. They wanted to pretend that whole damn chapter never even happened. And this new piece, well, it lasts for a few years. They even record a new studio album, Brave New World, but the old tensions were right there under the surface. And then in 1999, Dennis DeYoung gets sick. He develops a serious viral illness that left him with chronic fatigue. It also made him extremely painfully sensitive to light, a condition called photophobia, so he could not tour. He couldn't even be in a room with bright stage lights. So he asked the band to just wait for him to get better. Tommy Shaw and J.Y. Young did not wait. This was their chance. They saw an opportunity to get rid of the guy they'd been fighting with for decades. They told DeYoung he was out, and they hired a Canadian singer named Lawrence Gowan to replace him. Gowan could sing just like DeYoung. He was an energetic keyboard player. Just like that, they fired Dennis DeYoung for the band that he had actually co-founded. DeYoung was, to put it lightly, betrayed. He sued his former bandmates for using the name Styx without him. It was a nasty, public, bitter fight. In the end, they settled. Shaw and Young got to keep the name Styx. Young got paid, but he was officially permanently out, erased from his own band. And that's where things stand today, more than 20 years later. The war is still going. On one side, you got Styx, the touring band, led by Tommy and J.Y. They're very successful. They tour constantly. They play all the band's rock hits, and they absolutely positively will not play Mr. Roboto. They hate that damn song. They blame it for nearly killing their career. They made it crystal clear. As long as they are in Styx, that darn song will never ever be played. Then on the other side, you got Dennis DeYoung. He tours as Dennis DeYoung and the music of Styx. He plays all the songs he wrote, including all the big ballads, the theatrical numbers that the other guys hated. And what is the biggest, most celebrated part of this show? The encore. He plays Mr. Roboto with full pride, pulls out the mask, still believes in the song, still believes in the story. He thinks his old bandmates are crazy for walking away from a #3 hit song just because they were mad at him. Hit that subscribe button. Hit the like button. Join the family. To my subscribers, you rock. To my patrons, you rock. Thank you so much for watching.